You see him on the subway in his trademark red beret. Curtis Sliwa wants to be the first Republican to move into Gracie Mansion since Rudy Giuliani. The Point starts right now. Republican mayoral candidate Curtis Sliwa is here to tell us why he should be mayor of the city of New York. And there's big news. The Partnership for New York City, Kathy Wild, has met with you, and she wants to have you meet with members of the business community. Why now? They didn't do it last time.
I think because they put all their chips on the USS Andrew Cuomo, and it sunk outside the Hamptons. And so they're on the rebound. They went to Eric Adams. They realized, oh, he's mired in a sea of corruption. So I think because I'm the Republican candidate, they've said, well, he's business friendly. He wants to slash taxes. He wants to keep us here instead of chase us out, which is what has been happening. And I think it's time that they at least listen to me, because you talk about law and order and quality of life. If you don't have it, the corporations will pick up and leave, as they've already been doing in the last 2 years of Eric Adams.
So let's talk about taxes. How are you going to, what taxes would you slash?
Well, look at the corporate tax rate. It's like 17.4% between the city and the state, and the city gets 9% of it. Miami, 5.5%. So if you're a business person...
So you want to slash corporate taxes?
Oh, I have to. And you got to look at some of the individual taxes, because SALT, remember, used to give you a return on the taxes you paid locally and statewide.
But now it's been reinstated.
Yeah, to a degree. But again, you want to be able to keep people, especially the millennials. Many of them are in the corporate sector, so they become the CPAs. They become the financial analysts. They are the attorneys. They've gone to school. They're getting crushed by student loans. That's the other thing that I'm focused on. The crushing student loans. Then they don't have enough money to pay rent. They're angry. That's why Zohran Mamdani has resonated with them. And unfortunately, Cuomo and Eric Adams have no answers for them.
What about property taxes?
Property taxes in the outer boroughs. Can you imagine this? You're paying more in property taxes, small business owners, mid-sized business owners. And then you say to yourself, if you're a homeowner, 1, 2 families, why am I paying more property taxes here in, let's say, the South Shore, Staten Island, or out in the Rockaways in Queens than they're paying in Park Slope or Brooklyn Heights? Millions of dollars of assessment in these brownstones.
But how do you do it? I mean, Bill de Blasio promised to do it. In 8 years, he did nothing. How would you do it, and what would make a difference?
Bill de Blasio, who Zohran Mamdani wants to model his administration after, he thought he was the best mayor, did nothing about nothing. Remember the horse-drawn carriages? I'm going to eliminate them. This mayor will, because I'm running on a protect the animals line.
You're going to eliminate the horse-drawn carriages?
Eliminate the horse-drawn carriages.
People love them.
I don't know who loves them, because they've eliminated them in almost every other city around the world. You replace them with mechanized carriages. The drivers still have a job. And more importantly, no-kill shelters, and we're going to put animal abusers in jail. First ever, Marsha Kramer, the independent line, protect animals, in addition to me being the Republican.
All right, so let's go back to how you're going to woo the business leaders. You said that you want to cut taxes. You said that you also say you want to cut bureaucracy. What does that mean? It sounds an awful lot like President Trump, and that scares people.
Well, you have to show what you're going to do, not just use the euphemisms. First off, you've got to have law and order, because you could cut people's taxes. You can make it more corporate friendly. They're not going to stay.
So you're not cutting the police department?
No, I'm going to add 7,000 cops. And guess who I am taxing? Jimmy Dole in Madison Square Garden. You owe $43 million in property tax a year. He's had a sweetheart deal.
Well, you said you also want to tax, like, universities and places like that as well. Well, like Columbia, Barnard.
Columbia and NYU only on their real estate holdings that have nothing to do with education. They become big real estate firms. They own so much real estate in Greenwich Village and Morningside Heights that has nothing to do with education. That has to be taxed.
So you want to cut property taxes for some, but make universities and people like that who have tax exemptions pay taxes.
Well,
but what about churches?
Well, why should they have a tax exemption?
Churches have tax exemptions.
Excuse
what about
me?
them? Churches have tax exemptions.
Come on, it's your religion. Come on. Columbia is in the business of educating students. NYU is in the business of educating students. Why are they buying property that they don't use for educational purposes or housing students or caring for the needs of the teachers? They're in the real estate business. Pay your fair share of taxes, and we'll have more than enough to hire 7,000 police that we desperately need. And then we got to get them their qualified immunity. That was stripped of them by the state legislature, Cuomo, the city council in 2019.
What do you mean by qualified immunity for cops?
That is the insurance that every civil servant has. All 300,000 who work for the city, and Cuomo, who's taking advantage of it because when he was governor, he got hit with 13 sexual harassment cases. And even Tom DiNapoli, the state controller, has said, we're paying millions of dollars to defend Cuomo. He's got so much money. Why can't he defend himself?
So what bureaucracy would you cut? What would you zero in on?
First off, I would ask Robert Holden, the Democrat from Middle Village, who is the leader of the Common Sense Caucus, who's term limited out. He was a teacher for 40 years, I'd say. Robert, I want you to be my chancellor of the Department of Education.
You're announcing that now that he's going to be your chancellor?
I will. I'm mayor. I'm going to convince Robert Holden to become the chancellor. Why? He leads.
Yeah, but what do you want him to do once he becomes chancellor?
He's cut that budget, $41 billion.
Cut education?
Wait. 100,000 less students. 1/3 of the students are truants every day. 2/3 of the students who go to 4th grade can't read at grade level, write at grade level, do math at grade level. It all goes to the top. There are 13 deputy chancellors. Nobody knows who they are. 50 department heads at the Tweed Courthouse, which is the old Tammany Hall location, which makes sense for the bureaucrats there. That's got to be cut. And we got to make sure that the money goes to the classroom, teaching the kids, and so that the teachers don't have to pay for their supplies.
We got to talk about this because when Eric Adams, you know, as you point out, there's a lot fewer students, 100 to 200,000 fewer. It's gone up because of the undocumented students that have gone in there. So he tried to cut the budgets of schools, and schools says, hey, wait a minute, we planned on having these number of teachers, and you can't cut our budget. So he had to cave on that. Are you going to cave on that when the schools and the teachers and the parents come to you and they say, hey, Curtis, we need that money for guidance counselors and art classes and music classes and all of those things?
He had a little problem there. He had Banks, the corrupt chancellor, who fled. He had Tracy, the girlfriend who was there for 2.5 years, no-show job, living in apartment 22H in Fort Lee. He had a lot of problems with the Department of Education. He actually should have recused himself. Why would you hire more teachers if you have 100,000 less students?
They have to, because there's a law that passed in the state that says they have to reduce class size. In order to reduce class size, you have to have more teachers.
I respectfully disagree. First off, not only don't you need more teachers, 1/3 of the students are not even there each day. You think maybe we need to go back and get the students in?
Smaller classes.
Smaller classes. I've been in these classes. There were 8, 12 kids. The rest of them don't even come to school. Ever since Cuomo said during the lockdown and pandemic, you don't need to come to school, teachers and students, he destroyed 1.5 years of my 3 sons' educational life where they were told to stay home.
We're going to go back and talk about this because under the law, in terms of reducing class size, they say that they have to build dozens and dozens of new schools just because they can have enough classroom space for the smaller classes. Are you saying you're not going to build any new schools?
Marcia, they have 200 schools with 200 or less students, and they won't consolidate them. No. We start cutting the budget of the Department of Education, and we find out who these deputy chancellors are and these 50 department heads, that the teachers, the deans, the assistant principals, and the principals who hire their staff, they don't even know who these people are. They're phantom. I'll bet you a lot of them are like Eric Adams' girlfriend, no-show jobs.
So let me ask you this.
Yes.
Mayoral control of the schools. Mamdani wants to change it. How do you feel?
Oh, I remember the old Board of Education that was run by Billy Thompson, who ran for mayor. Complete chaos. Each of the borough presidents had their patronage appointee.
So you want to keep mayoral control?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even
so
if I'm not the mayor, you have to have mayoral.
Is not a good idea?
Excuse me?
Mr. Mamdani's idea to change it is not a good idea?
No, he'll probably have schools with no walls. You know, he'll go back to the 60s. They tried experimentation of that. It didn't work in the 60s when I grew up, and we were told don't trust anybody.
Want more say in the schools as opposed to...
Oh, but they can have more say. They can have more say, but somebody has to make the decision. You have parent councils. And I would say the parents should be participants that sit at the table, and the mayor should have to meet with them. This mayor never meets with the parents.
Would you meet with the parents?
Absolutely. You see, with Eric Adams, if you're a parent, the only way you can meet with him is if you go to a nightclub until the break of dawn. That's the only place you could ever find the mayor. Okay. I mean, let's face it. He's the nighttime mayor. He's the hip-hop mayor. That's why he's so far down in the polls.
So we're going to have to leave it right there for now, but we'll be right back. We are back with the man who certainly tells it like it is, the Republican candidate for mayor, Curtis Sliwa. So there was a poll a couple of weeks ago that surprised a lot of people. It had Mr. Mamdani at about 30-something. It had Andrew Cuomo at 24, you at 22, and Eric Adams at 11. So now there's a proposal by Cuomo and Jim Walden to have everybody agree that in September, all the people who are not Mamdani get together, and the one who's the leader in the polls is the candidate, goes mano a mano against Zohran Mamdani.
So,
are you going to do that?
Jim Walden, 1% Walden, who actually has represented Cuomo before, now decides, hey, if he wants to drop out, he's on an independent line, feel free. There's 3 independent candidates. There's Cuomo, there's Adams, there's Walden. They could play musical chairs.
Yeah, but what about you?
I'm a major party candidate, the Republican Party candidate. Zohran Mamdani destroyed Andrew Cuomo.
But here's the facts. You got to look at the numbers. If there are 4 people running, and then Mamdani, and he has even 35%,
yep,
and everybody else splits the others, he wins. You only need 1 vote to win.
Well,
so would you think twice about would you want to step aside to prevent the city from having Zohran Mamdani?
First of all, that's a specious argument. Cuomo had his shot, and he forsaked the city. He now admits, oh, I mailed it in. I should have tried harder.
So should he get out?
No, they should all run. Let the voters decide.
Yeah, but that means that Mamdani wins, and you don't want that.
Wait a second. You, boy, I don't know, maybe you're a soothsayer. You're reading the tea leaves. I started 28%. I have increasing numbers.
You have 22 right now.
Yeah, but it's 28%. They don't even sample some parts because they seem to forget Republicans. 28% plus increasing numbers of independents, moderate Democrats, and I have the first ever independent Protect Animals line, which is very favorable to a lot of women who love animals like my wife and believes in no-kill shelters and putting animal abusers in jail. And you will see a transition over to that independent line for people who wouldn't vote for Republicans. So why should I give up the opportunity of running when I'm the only Republican candidate? For instance, the 3 of them, Mamdani, Adams, and Cuomo, believe that migrants should vote. Not me. They're all in favor of the sanctuary city. Not me. In fact, Eric Adams could have put it on the ballot as part of charter revision twice. He wouldn't put it on and let the people decide. I trust the people. They trust the politicians. And by the way, what happened to Zohran Mamdani? He was on the stage. He said, I will never leave New York City. I will be here for the people. First opportunity out of here, he's in Uganda, where they kill gays and lesbians. How does he explain that to his followers? A country in Africa, Uganda, where they advocate the killing of gays and lesbians, and he goes there for 10 days. Couldn't he have picked another country?
Well, he was born there.
I mean, come on. They're the most homophobic country that exists in the world. It makes no sense. He's now in an SUV. He's protected by the NYPD. What happened to you, Zohran? Come back to the streets. Try to ride the subway like I do every day. Join the peeps.
So let me ask you this question. If so many people are running and the goal in your mind is to defeat a socialist candidate, how does it make sense for so many people to be in the race? So are you calling on Cuomo and Adams and Jim Walden to get out of the race?
No, that's their choice. Look, first off, let me explain the rules. Everybody loves to play fantasy politics. If you've received matching funds and you drop out, you got to give it all back. You think Cuomo's going to give it all back? You think Jim Walden's going to give it all back? Not going to happen. You think I'm going to give it all back? I'm not independently wealthy. Number 2, you're still on the line. They don't take your name off. And you're assuming that Cuomo, who's best known for slapping fannies and killing grannies, that my supporters are going to vote for him? Vinny and Sal and Sally and Janine, they're not voting for Andrew Cuomo under any circumstance. So let the people decide. Nobody's dropping out. This fantasy idea of Jim Walden, who is really a surrogate for Andrew Cuomo, is not resonating with anybody.
So how do you feel about Zohran Mamdani as a candidate and somebody who could run the city?
Well, number 1, in terms of running in the primary, he proved that he was the most exuberant. He was able to get boots on the ground.
People like that.
Excuse me?
People like that.
Of course they liked it. But they like Curtis Sliwa because Curtis Sliwa is out there 24/7, 365, and I'm the only.
Let's talk about some of his ideas people liked. rent freeze. Would you go for a rent freeze?
Rent freeze. No, I wouldn't vote for a rent freeze because obviously you're going to see an abandonment of properties that we
Free
saw
buses.
in the... Excuse me?
Free buses.
Half the people don't even pay the fare on the bus to begin with. We got to talk about fair enforcement. Adams hasn't done any fair enforcement. Cuomo, when he was governor, hasn't done any
People
fair...
want to have free buses.
Yeah, they want, but somebody's got to pay for the free buses, right? Nothing is free. You got to pay for it. So the point is, I'm the only one saying enforcement. Everybody pays the fare. If you can't afford it, there's half reduction, a third reduction.
City-run grocery stores.
City-run grocery store. Hey, how did that work in Kansas City recently? They imploded. I was in Havana. I saw you walk in with a ration book if you're a citizen in Cuba. If you're a tourist, you get to walk to normal kinds of Walmart supermarkets where everything is stacked. It doesn't work. But Zoran Mandami, he wants to throw that out there. I'm going after the millennials and the Gen Zers, some of whom may believe that. You're not going to see Cuomo and Adams in the Lower East Side, in Long Island City, in Astoria. No, you got to go in there and get the millennials and Gen Z.
Some think that the Republicans want Zoran Mamdani to be the Democratic the mayor of New York City because they want to run against him to keep control of the House in 2026.
There are some Republicans. You're absolutely right.
Do you think that's a good idea?
No, that's a horrible idea. But they're thinking of what's in the best interest of the midterm election. I don't believe President Trump thinks that. He's a New Yorker. But there are others who hate New York. Remember, there are a lot of people, even Democrats around the country, they hate, they despise, they loathe.
They would like to make Zoran Mamdani the face of the Democratic Party so they can get seats around the country. You don't think that's a good strategy?
No. No, that's a horrible strategy
but
because...
the Republicans think it's a winning strategy.
Well, I'm not interested in the midterm election so much as I'm interested in first becoming the mayor, the Republican mayor of New York City, and getting the city back on track. We had 20 years of Republican mayors, 12 years of a Republican governor. We had no chaos, no corruption. Ever since we went back to de Blasio, the worst mayor.
Well, we did have 9/11 during that reign, too.
You know, understood, but let's face it. Who did Zoran Mandami say he wants to be like? Bill de Blasio, the worst mayor. Everybody loathes that guy. And who did Eric Adams say he wants to be like? David Dinkins. Come on. These Democrats...
So who do you want to be like?
I would say a combination of Bloomberg and Giuliani. Law and order with Rudy Giuliani, and obviously delegating responsibility in your management style. I'm not omnipotent. I'm going to bring in the best people. Larry Kudlow and all of his economic experts say will be your consiglieres, will help you.
So would you want Donald Trump to endorse your campaign?
Right now, I would suggest to the mayor respectfully, it's best you not get involved in the New York City mayoral election. You got bigger problems, right? You got the Ukraine, Russia. You got Israel, Hamas. You got Red China and the tariffs versus the situation that exists with the big, beautiful bill. Focus on that, Mr. President, because when you embraced Eric Adams, look at how his numbers dropped precipitously in the black community. He's down to 16%. I get more black votes. Zoran gets more black votes. Cuomo gets more black votes.
All right, we're going to have to leave it right there for now. But our conversation does continue right after the show on our streaming channel, CBS News New York. Thank you for joining me. Neighborhoods are very important to people. It's how some identify themselves. Now, if you could live anywhere in the city, where would you choose? New Yorkers are weighing in on your point. You could live anywhere in New York City, in any neighborhood. Where would you live?
I'm living in it right here, the Upper West Side.
Definitely the Upper West Side. I've been here for over 25 years.
I don't know, Harlem.
The Upper West Side.
Wait a minute. Go ahead.
I live right there. I've lived here my whole life.
I like this neighborhood a lot. I've lived here all my life.
I love Brooklyn.
What part of Brooklyn?
Bushwick.
Any neighborhood? Chinatown. Where I came from, Harlem.
In Brighton Beach, in Brooklyn.
Why?
Because the beach, because the air is fresh, it's clean, you enjoy more.
I used to live in the Village. I loved it. I didn't want to leave, but I came up here, got married, and this is just actually better, I feel, Upper West Side.
What is so great about Bushwick?
The prices are lower than Manhattan.
What makes Harlem such a great place to live?
Well, it's convenient in travel.
The history that comes from just the Renaissance era.
Now it's different than before. We got all kind of cultures living there. And it has a lot to offer.
And also the historic buildings as well, too.
What makes Chinatown so great?
I think it's like centrally located. It's easy to get to Brooklyn from there. If you think about all the train stations run through Manhattan anyway. There's a lot of good affordable food, you know, before gentrification eats it all up.
What makes this Upper West Side such a great neighborhood?
It's got everything within walking distance.
It's a neighborhood, unlike the Upper East Side.
Although it has changed, it's still less pretentious than other parts of town.
Always stuff going on.
It's residential, it's New York, but also with this subway right here, I mean, I can get downtown or anywhere I want and have all of New York City.
The people, the subways, the restaurants, everything makes it wonderful.
Do you think a developer can create a great neighborhood, or does it have to happen organically?
Not a developer, no. I think the community is the main reason.
That's a big sociological question. I couldn't answer that.
It has to happen organically.
I think it's a combination of things that makes a great neighborhood.
I think, especially because this city has been here for so long, I think that's what really creates it, time.
When I was younger, I thought it was organically, but you know what? In the sense, it was created by a developer even back then. There was always speculative housing and everything. So I would say chicken or the egg in that one. I'm not really sure.
Developers can try, but neighborhoods are people, and you can build a building, but the people who are going to live in that building are going to make that neighborhood what it is.